previous episode discussed the Hollow Earth and the psychic abilities possessed by the Lacerta race and their impact on humanity. This episode will continue to explore these topics.
Do you mean that you can really make me believe that I talk now with an attractive brown-haired human woman instead of a reptilian being like you?
Probably, but I don't think so in your special case. When someone expects to see a human woman instead of me, I can do it without problems with his mind, even with large groups, because nobody expects to see a reptile woman. But I have allowed your mind to see me in my original appearance from our first meeting on, and I have never induced something into your mind, so you have already realized that I am not human. If I would now try to change this, it would probably lead to an absolute confusion or to unconsciousness, and I don't want to harm you. As I have said, I am not very good in these things.
That's very scary. Can you kill with those abilities?
Yes, but it's forbidden. This means not that it was not done in previous times.
Do both sexes have these abilities?
Yes.
What about photos? How do you appear in photos?
This is a silly question. I appear in photos as a reptile being because I can't have influence on the photo or on the camera itself, but only on the photographer's mind. If he or she would develop the film and show the photo to others, they would see me in my original shape. That's the reason why it is forbidden for our kind to be filmed or photographed, and we must avoid every camera on the surface. That is very difficult, and we were filmed sometimes in the past without our knowledge, especially from certain of your governments and secret agencies.
What other commands can your kind induce into our minds? Something like serve us or obey?
This is again a strange question. We are not your enemy, most of us not, so why should we do this? To answer your question, it depends on the strength of the human mind and on the strength of the sending reptilian. There is no serve us or serve me switch in your mind, so such a command is much more difficult to induce. If the human mind and consciousness is weak and the reptilian inducer is experienced in these things and was some hours in the sun before he or she tries to do it, then it could probably work for a certain time. There are secret teachings about such things, but I've never learned anything about it. I use my primary abilities for mimicry and for communication with my own kind, and sometimes for other private things, but I've never used it to harm humans or their minds. I would appreciate it if we can end this topic here.
A last question. UV said earlier that you can hide your UFOs? Do you use the same abilities to do this?
Yes, but on a technical base. There is a powerful device inside each craft which is able to send an artificial signal to your minds to convince you that you see either nothing but only the sky, or that you see normal aircraft like planes instead of our ships. This isn't used very often because we avoid the human public when we move in the atmosphere. If you are able to see our UFOs, it means that the device is either defect or deactivated for some reason. The camouflage effect didn't work on photos to answer this possible question of you already in advance, but why should someone make a photo of the sky when he could not see anything unusual there? By the way, most of the surface near entry points to our tunnels are also hidden with such a device, and your kind will generally see only normal cave walls instead of the door. That's one reason why I've said that I doubt that you will be able to find such a secret door to our world, but it has happened a few times in the past.
The topic of mind control is indeed not a rare topic, as it has appeared in science fiction novels or movies, but most of them only describe this ability and do not explore the logic behind it. The previous conversation, however, puts forward a statement about this ability. First, matter and energy are actually two sides of the same coin, which was mentioned in Einstein's theory. Currently, the general human experience is to transform matter into energy, which is much easier than the reverse process. Lacerta mentions that the conversion of matter and energy is related to psychic ability. Even for the Lacerta race, which is slightly more advanced than human civilization, it is still not possible to transform energy into matter, but it is possible for more advanced civilizations or higher dimensional races. This reminds me of the relatively established new science of quantum mechanics, in which the famous delayed interference selection experiment not only enhances the concept that matter and energy are one, but also, in my opinion, suggests that the human mind can have a subtle effect on matter, or energy, even if this effect is almost negligible on a macroscopic scale, but the ability to affect is indeed existent. If humanity had the opportunity to develop for another million years, would it be possible to achieve the ability to control matter and energy conversion with the mind? The idea of creating something out of nothing is no longer a dream. Secondly, the extent to which mind control differs was discussed, such as whether or not one can see or not see something, and whether one can control others to obey them. I believe that the essential difference between these two conditions is that the ability to see is a simple physiological ability, and for everyone, seeing or not seeing is a specific feeling. However, obeying others is an abstract feeling, and there is a greater difference in the definition of obeying others for each person, unlike the feeling of seeing or not seeing, which is similar for everyone. Lacerta describes the ability to see as a switch in the human mind. However, there is no such switch as obeying others, making it more difficult to accomplish. The description of these abilities also makes it more reasonable for us to always see the entry and exit of UFOs or the surface. In the next episode, we will return to the history of the human and Lacerta races, and answer a big question. Do you remember the higher civilization race Elogium mentioned earlier? Could it be what we call God? If you enjoyed this film, please share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on the upcoming exciting program. Thank you for your anticipation.